Hello, we are on the eighth section in this course. Okay, now we are completely done with the backend side and it's time to design our UI application. I chose Bootstrap 5 and Angular 13 to design my UI application and communicate with the backend. Just before you start with creating new Angular app, you need some prerequisites. First of all, you need to install nodeJs engine on your machine. After that, you need install the Angular CLI. And after that, you will need to install the TypeScript language package with this command. Whenever you install these packages, you can create a new folder with name registration form.ui in the solution folder. Just I like it in my solution, the registration form.ui. Okay, now you should run your PowerShell with administrator mode and route to the registration form UI path and write this command and hit the enter. After this, the PowerShell will ask two questions. Press Y for the first question and select CSS for the second question. Okay, whenever the process will be done, you can see in your project that a folder with name UI and some files that all of them are related to the Angular. Okay, you created your Angular app and now you can develop your Angular app. I just use the Visual Studio Code to develop my Angular app because it's more simple than Visual Studio and comfortable for me. So I use Visual Studio for my Angular app. When you open your Visual Studio Code, you can go to the file and select Open folder and route to the registration form UI pad and select the UI folder and open the folder here. Okay. After this, I'm just gonna do the first prerequisites for my project. As I said, I chose Bootstrap 5 for my UI, and you need to add these configuration to your project. Okay, if you go to your application and open the src folder, you see the file index.html. It's the first page of your application, and as you see, I just put my configuration related to the Bootstrap here. And now we are done with initializing the UI. And the next step is implementing this layer. Uh, when you want to connect your Angular app to the server-side application, you will need some infrastructure to do your stuffs for you. So we create some infrastructures to connect our Angular app to our API application. All of my application business is about personal stuff. So in my Angular app, I create a folder with name, person, and put all of my stuff in this folder. And don't forget, all of your stuffs should be in the app folder under src folder. One of the advantages of Angular is modularity. I mean, you can divide your application into some separate parts so that each one of them does a certain job. We call each one of these parts a component in Angular. You will see many components in our application later. And now you need to create some folders for your models and services. As you saw, we created some database model and details in the backend side. You need just create some models, just like we did in the backend side in the UI application. So you need to create a folder with name model in the root src slash app slash person, and you need a folder with name service, and we use our services on the UI application to communicate with backend and send data, get data, and do the operation or do the CRUD operation to our entities. And as you see in the person folder, I created model folder and service folder. Okay, now we are gonna create our models. As you remember, we had a person entity and personality entity, and in our person, we had two enum with name, gender, and status. So we first create our gender enum and status, and then we create a person class and put all of our properties just like we did in the backend side here, and we do it for personality class too. And don't remember for this, you can right click on the model folder and select new file and write whatever you want dot ts. The TS extension shows that your file is type of TypeScript. As you know, the Angular backend language is TypeScript, and we use the TS files for our backend language in our Angular app. Okay, in this file, let me tell you about some specifications in the TypeScript language. As you see, we wrote the export keyword here. It means that my class, my personality class, is gonna use in other classes. If I don't write export, I can't use my class in other classes. So you should write the export class here, and you should just specify your object type. I select my type just like this. We don't have int, line, or decimal. We have just number in the TypeScript, and I selected the string type for my title. And in the person, you see my properties and the types, and there is nothing, everything is simple. And the next part, we are gonna create our services. Okay, we need two services for person and personality. So we create our services for these two entities. You can create your services by creating new file or just with command. I use the command. I'm more comfortable with command. So go to terminal, click on new terminal, and you can write this command nggs percent service. It will create for you a service with name percent service, and write another command with this name nggs personality dash service. And as you see, I created my services with these commands. Okay, I'm gonna explain you these services and their job. We first start with personality service. As you see, we have a method that it returns the personalities from the backend. As you remember, I told you we have an API for personality that returns our personality. To we can show the personalities in the registration form, and user can assign the personalities to the person. This method is gonna get the data and show in the registration form. And how this method works. I need to explain some prerequisites. As you see, I imported the HTTP client module and the personality model here. The HTTP client module is responsible to send the HTTP request to every backend that you want. And I created just a new object from my personality, and I create a list of personalities here and a base URL that specifies my backend URL for my API. And I use just the HTTP client to send get request to my backend, and I filled my all personality object here, and I will use it in the uh, related component. I will create the related component later and show you. And don't remember that you should inject your modules in the constructor, just I did here. And after that, I can use it in my methods in this service. And don't remember that you should add the HTTP client module to the application. For this one, you can go to app.module and add the HTTP client module in your imports. To you can import this module in your services, just like I did in my personality service. Okay, the next service is a person service. As you see, again, I injected the HTTP client and also the person model here because we are gonna do the person stuffs here. And as you see, I created a new object from person, another object of type array from person here, and I specified my base URL to the backend to my service can communicate with my backend. I injected my HTTP client in my constructor. The first method is a get method. This method is gonna takes all person data for my grid, and it just do it just like this. And we have another method, the post method. As you saw in the API layer, we had a post method that was responsible to insert new person data. I use my HTTP client module to post the data to the backend and register my new person data. And the other method is put. We use it just for updating person. And the last method is delete. That it takes an ID and send that ID to the backend and delete my person. And if you notice, after all method success, I call the get method again. It's because when I post or update a person or I delete a person, I just want my grid to refresh and show the new data. So whenever I register a new person, I tell to the application get the new data and show in the grid, or whenever that I edit every person, I tell to my application, please get the new data, or whenever I delete, please get the new data and show in the grid. Okay, I think we are done with our services, and the next part is implementing our UI layer. Please follow me on the next section.